So I saw this really awesome TED Talk the other day by Kelly McGonigal. She's a world famous psychologist. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She did it at TED Global 2013. But it was really great. She discussed a pair of scientific studies that were done that showed that stress is not nearly as harmful to your health if you don't believe it to be harmful to your health, while also showing that the effects of stress are almost negated if you're caring for someone else or really actively engaged in a healthy emotional relationship at the time of stress. Sounds weird, right? I thought so too, because we've always been told that stress is a really bad thing. You need to try to minimize stress as much as possible. And she did this really cool thing to start with. Let me talk to you about the speech a little bit. She took an audience poll where she asked the people if they had varying levels of stress throughout the course of the year, asking them to raise their hand if they had a low level of stress or a medium level of stress. And she tried to connect with her audience when she asked a high level of stress, because the majority of the audience picked a high level of stress, and she agreed with them that she had also had a high level of stress. It was kind of a semi-rhetorical question. You didn't have to answer it if you didn't want to, but she really did a nice job of connecting with the majority of her audience right then and there, saying, look at me, I'm just like one of you. I feel stressed the same way you do. As she went on with the speech, she didn't really tell a whole lot of stories about how she had dealt with stress or anything like that, but she was telling emotional stories about the way she reacted to this research that she had heard. She was saying how, for instance, that for all these years she'd been teaching people that stress was this awful thing that you needed to try to eliminate from your life, when she might have actually been contributing to people getting sicker by making them stress out even more rather than positively harnessing the stress, because what it does to your heart is it actually makes it pump more like when you're excited or in love, if you envision stress as being a positive influence on your life rather than negative. It's a really crazy concept. But then by the end, she really contrasted the beginning with a really emotional clincher that I loved. She said something to the effect of how stress gives you access to your heart, which allows you to care for others. And if you start to think of stress and your life in this way, it's really positive, because not only are you able to show that you can care and love for yourself, but that you're also enhancing your human connections with other people and proving that you don't have to go it alone when you're being stressed out. And it was a really powerful message. The camera closed in on her. She looked like she was about to cry, actually, which is fantastic. Really emotional plea. She did a great job there. She also did a really nice job of presenting naked during the speech as well. She walked around the stage. She made eye contact frequently with lots of members of the audience. She used a clicker. Her slides were really well tailored to the content that she was delivering. The only area where she was a little bit more mixed in was her ability to let her personality shine through. In some cases, like the end that I just mentioned, she did a really nice job of really emotional, really human. But she was also kind of clinical and doctoral in other parts of the speech. She's a doctor, so it kind of makes sense that she was. But it kind of pulled me out of the moment a little bit when I was like, when I heard that she was using some of these terms that, weren't quite like I would expect in conversation. But all in all, it was a really strong speech, so I strongly recommend you go take a look at. If for no other reason than there were some things you did with facts and data in the speech that I think you can take to your next speech as well. Because I love facts, I love data. I think they prove points better than just emotional pleas. So she threw out data like how you have a 48% higher chance of dying if you have stress factors that are really high in your life in any given year, things like that. I thought it was really fascinating data that she threw out there to help support what she was talking about. So if there were any advice I would give you in giving a speech, if you have data that you can use to help prove your point, absolutely do that.